I think the reason I make fantastical images of nature is because the reality is quite fantastic, but is also quite oppressed. The environment and animals is something that I really care a lot about, and I think is particularly important in contemporary society. I suppose making these animal drawings is a response to that. Something more interesting about imagining like a new world where the animals are all different sizes and like much larger, much smaller. It plays a lot with perspective. So when you look at this drawing, for example, you can really tell like these killer whales, in comparison to the size of this turtle, are tiny, and it makes you think, is the turtle huge or are the whales really small? But it puts into question people's ideas of perspective and what they associate with in real life, and they turn into these fantastical creatures. I mean, the level of detail is really important to me because I think it keeps it fresh, keeps it interesting. You can really focus in on tiny little details and hide things in there. I work with 0.03mm pens, 0.05mm pens. I think probably at most 0.1mm. You can come back to a drawing about 1,000 times and always see something new, that there's always going to be something else in there. And that's a really important aspect of my work, like infinite amounts of detail almost. I feel as though sometimes when I'm making these drawings that I try and turn these animals into planets in their own right, with their own ecosystem, either living in another world or in some of the other drawings I've done where they're isolated on a page, you can almost imagine them as planets kind of swimming through space almost. I see it developing probably larger, on a much larger scale. I really want to make incredibly intense, almost impossible amounts of detail. So if I increase the page size, that way I can really get into tiny, tiny little details, hide little things away, really nice little images, I guess, creating larger worlds, more fantastical worlds, where kind of the environment reigns. I'd like to do whatever I can to help conservation efforts, help raise awareness, and try and change the way our society perceives our planet.